Welcome to the Central Alabama High School Sports Show podcast, brought to you by Andrew Sports Medicine, Land of Frost, Hamburger Heaven, Huffman Electric, and State Farm.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Snapper Lancaster, welcoming you to another edition of the Central Alabama High School Sports Show. As you can tell, we're on the road again today, Shades Valley High School. We look forward to visiting. We're going to be visiting with their two basketball coaches, the ladies' basketball coach and the boys' basketball coach. And of course, this is the time of year where we're getting toward the playoffs. And I tell you what, it's just around the corner. As a matter of fact, the first rounds start next week, I think. And let's look a little bit at some of the teams, because we've got a ton of teams here in the Birmingham area that are playing some great basketball. Like in Class 7A, you got Mountain Brook ranked number 1 and Hoover ranked number 2 in the boys. Now, that doesn't surprise anybody. Mountain Brook's had a great run the last 2 or 3 years, and Bucky McMillan has them on the ball again this year. And the girls' classification in 7A, Hoover's 25-1. Spain Park is 22-5, and you got Hewitt Trustful in the top 10. So these should be some teams that are going to make some noise in the tournaments. In Class 6A, Pinson Valley, Gardendale, and Hueytown all are in the top 10 right now. And in the girls' classification in 6A, McAdory, Huffman, and Carver are ranked. And in Class 5A, Winona, always a powerhouse in high school basketball. They're number 1 for the guys. Fairfield's playing well. Pleasant Grove's playing well. And Ramsey in Class 5A girls is ranked number 1. No surprise there. Shelby County is doing very well. Winona and Pleasant Grove are in the top 10. And finally, in one of the smaller school brackets that we cover here in the Birmingham-Jefferson County area, Midfield in Class 3A is ranked in the top 10. Now, having said that, and we'll find out more about this as we talk with the head basketball coaches, is right now those rankings, they look good, but come tournament time, it doesn't mean a thing. And what I mean by that, it only helps you in your seeding. And secondly, all these coaches are hoping that their teams are playing their best basketball come tournament time. And that's just around the corner. That's why, as the old saying goes, whether it's pros, college, or high school, that's what upsets and games like that are for. The favorites don't always win, and it seems to happen in tournament time, and that's an ideal time for it. So, folks, once again, from Shades Valley High School, we'll have our first guest in just a few moments. Don't you go away. We'll be right back. You can catch our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can also visit us on our social media outlets, Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to like and subscribe to our platforms. If you have an idea for a show topic or would like to be a sponsor, please email us at castvshow321@gmail.com.
Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven. A taste of heaven is always best. Now you know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
Land of Frost Premium is America's best-selling 1-pound deli pouch, now available in 12 delicious flavors, including new flavors of mesquite turkey and cotto salami. High school athletes across the country ask for Land of Frost by name. These great items are available at your local grocer, including Piggly Wiggly, Food Giant, Western supermarkets, and many more. Land of Frost also makes other varieties of lunch meats, including deli shaved bistro and sub sandwich kits. Land of Frost is a proud sponsor of youth sports as well.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine, shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered in injury sports medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, postoperative decisions, preoperative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them. We're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
In injury sports medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And folks, welcome back. And as you can tell, we're here at Shades Valley High School. My first guest here, longtime coach here for the boys at Shades Valley, and talk about Mike Burrus. And Coach, good to see you again.
Glad to have you, Sam.
And for people that might be seeing us for the first time, and you for the first time in a while, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the business and how long you've been here at Shades Valley.
Yes, right. I started out back in the 90s, early 90s, at Huffman High School. Did girls basketball, football, and helped with baseball a little bit over there. Did that for 10 or 15 years and moved over here to Huffman with Curtis Coleman and his staff. And that's when I started boys basketball and football. And it's been, been here for, like I said, for 12 years and really enjoyed it. Went to college at UAB. Played baseball at Jeff State and UAB, but never had the itch to coach baseball. I wanted to be a football coach more than anything, but, when given the opportunity to coach the girls at Huffman, I, took that job, and then that led to, this job over here.
Well, I tell you what, we were talking about your team and how it's played thus far this season. What were your expectations for this group? Because I think you said their record, what's your record?
We're 16-11 right now.
So you're well above 500, which means you played some pretty good basketball.
Yes.
But as we close in here on tournament time, and I know you feel like most coaches that you want your kids peaking at the right time. Now, having said that, there's a couple of things that goes in that could deter that one way or the other. Injuries, your team pretty healthy as you get to this point in the season. But talk about your team in particular, and has it been pretty much what you expected? And I know the one thing that all of you coaches expect at the end of the season come playoff time is for your guys to be playing their best basketball.
Yes, sir. You're correct in that. We've been healthy all year. Kids are playing hard. We play a really tough schedule because, my philosophy is, we want to play the best teams in the area that we can play that will benefit us come playoff time. And I feel if you don't do that, then when you get in a situation where it's difficult surroundings or teams that you hadn't played that may be a little bit better than you, your kids won't step up to that level of expectation that we have. So. It's been a difficult schedule, but it's the kids are playing hard. They're progressing as much as we feel like they can. And like you said, we play Wednesday. The area tournament starts Wednesday, and you push the reset button. Everybody's 0-0, right. So that's where it all starts. So you got to be ready then.
Well, I know one thing that I ask all the coaches for. People that may not realize it, you coaches are the one that make your schedules.
Yes, sir.
And you've touched on it a little bit, and what I ask coaches is when you make that schedule, when you schedule those opponents, do you schedule teams that you think you ought to beat, number one, teams that you feel like are probably on the same level that you are, number two, and finally that third team, it might be hard, you better play some good basketball or you're not going to beat them. And then that way, like you said, the team is always growing in some capacity.
Yes.
And I don't care, this may sound the wrong way, but every once in a while, you'd like to play a team if no other reason, at that point in the season, it would be a confidence builder for you. But then you also like you said, you like to line up against people that are probably better than you are, make you better.
Sure.
And because are you one of these coaches, and I've been a firm believer in this in my whole lifetime, that there is such a thing as good losses? Because sometimes you learn more from losing than you do winning everything. Because if you get to winning too much, you take it for granted you're going to. And that's what everybody would love to do, don't get me wrong. But then sometimes you play a team that's a whole lot better than you, let's say, but you either play them really close or beat them, then that builds the confidence. But whereas if the players don't have some wins on there, then it's hard to get that confidence built. And you want to build and grow and maximize what they can be and what you're trying to teach them as you get closer to tournament time.
Yeah, that's true, but, still don't like to lose no matter who it is.
Yeah, absolutely. If there was.
But you're right. I mean, not only that, it gets the kids to realize that, hey, we belong. We can compete at this level, whatever level you think you may be at, but, we want to compete at the highest level. And when kids have success, win or loss, sometimes you're right, it gives them success. So, hey, we're right there. We're one of the elite teams. We can do this, and confidence-wise, they go into the next game or the next tournament feeling a little better about themselves.
Let me ask you this, and I ask coaches this question a lot of times because I'm curious as to what the answers may be. But what is your philosophy on the fact that everything is geared toward winning, but you're also trying to teach lessons during the basketball season with them that the young men will take from now to way into the future? Sure.
I mean, that's important. I mean, you try to build everybody's confidence level up, build them up, but a lot of times you have to do that in practice. A lot of times you can't play as many kids as many minutes as you like. There's just not enough time in the game. I've got 15 players, and we sit down before the year and we kind of define what roles they're going to play. And they understand, that, Coach could have picked 12 kids and 2 or 3 of us might not have been here, but I'm just glad to be here, and whatever playing time I can get will be, be just fine.
Another question, Coach, that most of the time the answer is different from all the coaches, but your philosophy, do you have a style you want to play, or are you one of these coaches that the style that you're going to play is determined by the athletes you have?
Yeah, usually it's determined by, the athletes that we have, but we have certain things in our system that everybody can do. We've got, you gotta hang your hat on something. You just can't go out there and do, everything, run every kind of offense there is. You got to have something. For us, it's our 1-2-2 3/4 court press. We've been running it for as long as I've been here. And that's kind of what we hang our hat on. And offensively, we want to run a numbers break and get the ball out of the net and go to the other end about as fast as we can. But, philosophy-wise, that's the first thing we start out with. Everybody's going to learn how to do the 1-2-2, everybody.
Well, Coach, I know you've been in this business a long, long time. One question that I would ask that I would be curious about your answer, when you got started until today, how much have the athletes changed, the student athletes?
I wouldn't say they've changed. Personalities are the same. You got the jokers, you got the clowns, you got the studious guys. The personality of the kids are the same. Technology has changed them some with the cell phones and some of the other things that we have to deal with, the social networking and all that. That's the biggest difference there is. The kids are still kids. They want to play, they want to win, they want to have fun.
Well, Coach, it sounds like that you've been satisfied with your team pretty much thus far this year. And the one thing that we all hope for, and especially you, is the guys are playing their peak come next Wednesday. They're ready mentally and physically to play their best basketball of the year. You think you're getting to that point?
Yes, sir. Wednesday night, 7:30 at Huffman. We'll be there.
Well, Coach, once again, I want to tell you it's good to see you again. It's been a while. I knew you'd been in the business a while, and the two things that I appreciate most about you coaches is the fact that, one, y'all prepare your kids for the sport that they participate in, and the other is you help prepare these student athletes for life after high school. And so tickled to death to be able to talk with you again and visit with you again. Wish you and your kids the best of luck in the tournament. It all depends on the kind of performances they have, but maybe they're ready to take that next step and do some serious damage, and I know that's what you hope out of it.
Yes, sir.
But good to see you, and good luck in the tournament, okay?
Thank you.
And folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to visit some athletes very instrumental in the outstanding season Shades Valley has had thus far. Don't you go away. We'll be right back.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine with shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrew Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, postoperative decisions, preoperative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them, we're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I combined home and auto with State Farm.
Saved $760.
Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760.
That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
And folks, welcome back. As you can see now, instead of the coach, I got 4 strapping young athletes, young men up here, and we're going to visit with them a little bit that have been very instrumental so far in the play that their basketball team has had. And guys, the way I'm going to do this, because I don't ever like to mess anybody's name up, and Chris would tell you there that I have flubbed them a lot of times through the years. So I finally figured out a way to where I don't do that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start with you, Antonio. I want each one of you to introduce yourself and tell me what grade you're in and what position you play, and we'll start with you, Antonio.
My name is Antonio Thomas. I'm in the 12th grade, and I play shooting guard.
My name is Elite Nathan, and I'm at the point guard position. I'm
What
in 11th grade? 11th grade.
Okay.
My name is Isaac Sims, and I'm a junior, and I play the small forward.
My name is Isaiah Sims. I'm in the 11th grade, and I play forward.
Okay. All right, guys. Now listen, going into this season, what were the expectations? One, and we'll start with you, Antonio. What was your expectations for you this year, being a senior, and for your teammates?
I wanted to try and get the most wins as we can and make people better on our team so we can play at the highest level.
And is basketball the only sport you play?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Have you been on the varsity 3 or 4 years?
I actually played 2 years. I started
Okay.
11th grade year.
Oh, okay. And next we have Malik. And Malik, how about you? What did you expect for yourself and the team?
I expected us to win, of course, but I just want to go out every night and do what I got to do to help us win.
And one of the biggest things that happens during the season and as you progress, one of the most important aspects of a team is team chemistry. Now, with that thought in mind, Isaac will ask you, what about the chemistry on this year's team? Because if you have good chemistry, not only are you going to be the best you can be, but you'll be the best you can be as a team. But if there's bad chemistry, sometimes you don't maximize what you can be, both as an individual and as a team player. Talk about that aspect of this year's team.
Well, this year, it's not always been good. It's been some good, some bad. When it's good, you just win. When it's bad, it's not. We don't play as good.
Right, and I was going to ask that too, because having said that, then the very last thing you said just brought out the point that I was talking about. If it's better chemistry, you seem to play your best basketball, right?
Yes, sir.
With that thought in mind, Isaiah, chemistry-wise, you're getting close to the tournament. And so do you think you and your teammates are coming together and playing your best basketball as you get ready to get into the tournament?
Yes, sir. I think we're coming together as a team, as one, more than as individuals. So I feel like we'll come together once it's time to play Wednesday.
The one thing I do know, I know two things about you guys before we even start the interview. One is that you're pretty smart because you have to qualify in the classroom to be able to play basketball. Then the other one is you're pretty good athletes because the record indicates that. So there's a lot of pressure in the classroom to be the best you can be, a lot of pressure on the court to win as much as you can. So that puts a lot of pressure on a high school student. So sometimes you've got to have some downtime. Now here's the most important question with that, and we'll start with you, Isaiah. What do you do for that downtime to get away from the pressure of the classroom and the basketball court?
Sometimes, I just play the game, play Fortnite sometimes, and I might just read a book or something. That's it.
Yeah, just something where you're sort of almost not doing anything. Reading, it don't take a whole bunch, but to look and read. So that takes the pressure away a little bit, right? How about you, Isaac?
I just watch a little TV.
Okay, so you catch some flicks or something, but just relax. Malik, how about you?
Most of the time I'm like on social media or something like that.
Yeah, okay. That's a big thing, and Coach touched on it a little bit, but I can tell you, because I've been around longer than the coach and everything, the media business it's changed teenagers' lives, not only the parents, but the teenagers, because there's a lot of avenues you have that we never had. And that can be positive and it can be negatives. And there's an old saying that too much of a good thing sometimes is bad. So we have to watch that as well. Antonio, how about you?
I just like to get off my feet watching college basketball.
Okay. Now, what team in college or who is your favorite collegiate athlete?
I like Kentucky. I don't really have a favorite player, though.
Oh, okay. Well, now you watch the NBA a lot, right?
Yes.
Who do you like in the NBA?
Paul George.
Paul George. Is that somebody you'd like to model your game after?
I do.
Oh, okay. Malik, how about you? Who are the players that you think, golly, I wish I could play like that?
Chris Paul.
Okay. An outstanding player. Isaac? LeBron. Now, buddy, if you can be just this much like LeBron, you're going to be a star, right? Because he's a super athlete, a super person. Isaiah, how about you?
James Harden.
Harden? Okay. Those are all great leaders, and you got to have those different gifts, I think, to be able to lead people and have people follow you and do it in a positive way. Now, Antonio, you're the only one that we got to worry about this right now. You're the only senior here. So do you hope to go play, or where do you hope to go to school next year?
I'm really undecided right now.
Okay. As you look down the road, have you got any idea once you go to school what you might like to do one day?
I would like to major in mechanical engineering.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. If you had a choice and you could go to any school you wanted to go to, where would it be?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech? Well, they got a great engineering school. Now, Malik, you don't have to worry about that right now, but down the road, have you thought yet, like one day, like what you might like to do, Or would it be anything if you thought that you might like to be a head coach one day or a teacher and coach basketball?
Oh, yeah, like business.
Business? Oh, okay.
Business.
Maybe own your own business?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Isaac, how about you?
Yeah, I like to be a coach one day.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, I mean, and let me tell you something. You may not realize this, the coaches may not even realize it, but most of them, when you talk to them, there are very few coaches that tell me, I wanted to be a coach one day. But it happens, and they work into that. Isaiah, how about you?
Like sports medicines or something.
Yeah, it's something to do with sports and athletics. Now, one thing that I'd like to talk to athletes about, because they have various opinions, basketball is no different from football or baseball in this sense. When you play at home, you're supposed to have the home court advantage, right? But when you go on the road, you lose that advantage. Now, I've talked to some athletes, and some of them feel this way, and some of them it doesn't bother them. But we'll start with you, Antonio. Do you feel more pressure playing at home, or do you feel more pressure playing on the road?
It's more pressure playing on the road. You got to deal with like the crowds.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get the calls you want.
That hostility and like you said, you don't get the love there, you get it at home. So, how about you, Malik? How you feel about that?
It might sound weird, but I say it's more pressure at home because I feel like you're held at a standard, like from your own home crowd.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right about that too, because you want to win for all your friends and family that's come there, and a lot of times all those people that come at home don't go on the road. And like Antonio was bringing out, you have those hostile crowds, so you prefer playing at home then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Isaac?
I say away, because
you don't let that pressure bother you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because away, they cries like the sixth man on the court.
Yeah, you're right. But they still can't come out there and do anything, right? They're still going against the other five. How about you, Isaiah?
I say home too, because like when you at home court and you got everybody watching, like your friends and stuff, and then you lose in front of your home court, it's like a bad feeling. You don't like having that. But when you away, it's like you still want to win, but like if you lose, you be like,
it's not quite as bad as losing in front of the home court people. Well, I understand that. Well, guys, I tell you what. Oh, and this one thing too, Antonio. Right now, do you feel like your team is playing their best basketball, or you realize that if you're not, you got to get ready because the tournament's where it's got to happen at?
Well, the past few weeks, I feel like we've been playing the best basketball. We've been playing together mostly. Everybody been playing their role. So yeah, I think we'll be ready Wednesday.
Well, good. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and the main thing that I hope for is, just like I was telling the coach, hope you guys are playing your best basketball come next week, because that's when it counts the most. But the last question I got, and we'll start with you, Isaiah. To this point in your young life, who's been the most inspirational person or persons?
My mom.
Okay, mom's always there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, how about you, Isaac?
I'm going to go him on that one. My mom.
Okay, your mom. Malik?
Same answer, my mom.
All right, that leaves you, Antonio.
I go with my mom.
Well, I tell you what, guys, we know one thing, that mom's always going to be there, win, lose, or draw, right? So that's terrific. Well, listen, I wish you guys all the luck in the world. Hope you're playing your best basketball starting by next week. And you may not even have to be the best team in the tournament. You know why? Because there's this crazy little thing we talked about just a minute ago, upsets. And you could be somebody that upsets somebody that's supposed to be a lot better than you are if you're playing the best you can. So good luck to you guys, okay?
Thanks, sir.
And folks, we're going to take a quick break. We come back, another coach, some more athletes. Don't you go away. We'll be right back.
Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven. A taste of heaven is always best. Now you know that you're blessed. Give your taste a whole new spin. Bring your friends and come on in. Take your taste to a different place. It's the taste of hamburger heaven.
The next time you need electrical work, whether it be commercial or residential, you need to call Huffman Electrical Contractors, a company that's been in business for over 35 years. They've served clients not only locally in the Birmingham area and all over the state, but have clients outside the state of Alabama as well. Whether it's a new building or remodeling an older building or home, they can handle the job for you. Once again, that's Huffman Electrical Contractors. The number to call is 205-661-5005. That's 205-661-5005. Where at Huffman Electrical Contractors, a satisfied customer is always their number one objective. We're just trying to make sure about something, but welcome back. As you can tell, we've got another coach here, Gary Ferguson, the head ladies coach here at Shades Valley. And Coach Ferguson, what we do to start off your segment, tell us about your background and what has led you to the position here at Shades Valley.
Okay. Started off at Alabama State, ended up going to Lowndes County, coaching basketball there. Then I moved on to Jeff Davis for a few years. Came to Shades Valley, coached boys basketball for about 13 years, and was the junior varsity coach. And Coach Hunter, after she won that state championship, ended up going over to Hewitt Trussville. Right. You know, principal, a few more people asked me if I would coach girls basketball. I was a little skeptical in the beginning. Had a few people speaking to my life, and God led me to coach the girls, and ended up taking over that program in 14-15.
Okay.
And we were blessed to, after the state championship, to make it to the Final Four that following year, in the Elite Eight the year after that.
Wow. Well, then you're a good person to ask this, because you've coached both boys and girls. And I've got my own opinion, and I'll share it with you in a second. But I'm curious in your answer first. What is the biggest difference, and don't hold back, in coaching boys and girls basketball?
One of the biggest differences to me is just from day to day, from an emotional standpoint. You know, each are dealing with a lot of things that reference to today's society, but sometimes, you know, from an emotional standpoint, it's a little harder pulling out of the girls what all is maybe bothering them at that moment.
Right.
So it takes a little more as far as pulling out some of those things.
And then, of course, on that flip side of it, and along with that, because I'm going to give you my opinion in a second, what's the difference on the basketball court?
On the basketball court, it really isn't a whole lot of difference. You know, when it comes down to effort and hard work, I don't see much difference at all on that end. It's just the desire and who wants it more than the other. So it's really not a big difference on that end to me.
Well, now, and see if what you think of this, and don't hit me when I say it, okay? and the young ladies either, but this is meant as a compliment on one hand and a realism on the other. The difference that I've seen between the guys and the girls is the fact that the girls play a more sound fundamental game. And I think the best way I can describe that is where the guys play above the rim, the girls play below. Right. And shooting and passing and sort of the basics. They seem to do better than guys because the girls are concentrating on what they're trying to do. And you tell me, being a guy, sometimes the guys are hunting them highlight reels.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. But these days, with what sports, where it has become and where it's going, I think it's on both ends these days. I do think you're right on that fundamental, and they typically are more fundamental, a little more sound, and you know, kind of have to rely on running their sets and letting the fundamentals lead them to that next basket, whereas the guys do try to use their athleticism a little more than them.
And one thing that's always bothered me, and you being a coach and an ex-player too, is I get so agitated when I see a young man or a young lady step up to the line and miss free throw after free throw after free throw. Because all it is concentration and rhythm. And nobody's guarding you. That's what I never understood. Because I was one of these, I had an 85 to 90% free throw percentage for the simple reason there wasn't anybody in my face. But it's amazing to see that. It's a fundamental part of the game, but it's one of the hardest for some people to master.
Right. I do think there's a lot of truth in that. And it's basically a mindset and a mind thing. And a lot of kids today do struggle with that. the percentages I feel are a lot lower today than what it was then.
I think so too, and really don't understand why totally.
Right.
But getting away from that part and to the game, Coach, thus far, what's your team's record this year?
Right now we're 15-9.
So y'all have had a positive season.
Right.
I wouldn't say there's been peaks and valleys because you've been pretty much playing good basketball, as we'd call it, good basketball. Going into this season, what did you expect out of this group? Did you expect them to have this kind of ability? And of course, I'm going to put the same thing on you. I do the guys, and talking with the head coach too. What you're hoping for, and what I hope the girls are, is they're playing their best basketball come tournament time. Do you think your team is headed in that direction?
I really do. These young ladies here, we pull most of them up at a young age. You know, we put them up as, I can't remember if it was ninth graders. We pulled them up, and they were actually on that team that made the Elite Eight.
Oh, really?
And so we actually have had big expectations with them. This year we've had a few injuries. We had a young lady from Texas, about 6'2.5", that ended up moving back mid-season, had an ACL tear. So that kind of, you know, we had to, and we also, our number one point guard, she had a hamstring. She tweaked her hamstring. She was out about 4 weeks. But we really are starting to put that thing together. You know, we have 4 solid guards, and we've expected all along that their senior year would be their time to make a run, and I think they're geared up and ready for it.
Well, Coach, what is your philosophy? And I know you are like all the other coaches, and we talked about this. You set your own schedule. Or are you one of these that believes in, I think there's credence for all this, in scheduling teams you ought to beat, teams you're going to have a tough time, and then teams that it's an upset if you beat them. Because then you know you're playing as well as you can and maybe really well that night. But if you lose to somebody you're not supposed to, you know you got a problem as well. What's your philosophy along those lines?
Well, we've always, we've never shied away from competition. You know, we played Ramsey starting the season off, and they were actually in the state championship on last year. We played Mount Brook. We played a lot of top-notch teams. You know, most teams we play are top 10. We do have a few along the way, but it's pretty much the boys and girls coming together saying who we will play, and typically it's the same teams. We played Hoover this year, so haven't shied away at all from the competition. We believe that will only get us better for area play.
Well, I happen to believe that too, that you can lose a ball game but still come out with positive from it, especially when you're playing a team that should handle you okay, but they do everything but that. And that's a compliment to you and your team and your girls being ready to play, because you know this as well as I do. Basketball is one of those sports to me that's just as much mental as it is physical.
Yes, sir.
And having said that, one of the last questions I want to ask you is, what type of basketball do you want to play? Are you one of these coaches that you want to play your style regardless, or are you one of these that know you got to bend sometimes because you may not have that athlete that fits your style, and you have to play with what you've got and play to what is their strength too? How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, since I've taken over the girls program, we knew we had a particular type group. So it's been the last 4 years. We've always been an up-tempo pressing type team. Now, next year, once we lose these guards, we may have to change that philosophy up a little bit. But we kind of took along the philosophy of Shaka Smart with that havoc type defense, and also Nolan Richardson with their 40 minutes of hell. You know, and so we're up tempo, in your face, pressing, and it has worked for us thus far.
Because in your case, in your brand of basketball, turnovers are blessings.
Yes, sir.
Because it's just another offensive opportunity, and it stops that team. That's an opportunity less than they had. So that's terrific. And the thing about it too, do you think that your team's best basketball still lies ahead of it?
I really do. I really do. We had senior night the other night against Clay, who I felt was a pretty sound team, and we were just clicking on all the cylinders defensively from a pressing standpoint with our half-court traps and things of that nature, and ended up winning by 20. We set most of the seniors down most of the fourth quarter, but I really do believe our best basketball is ahead of us.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, from your background, it sounds like you've been very successful here, and that you know how to get the best out of your players. Not every coach can do that. And so having said that, I'll tell you this, and it's like most coaches this time, you hope your players are picking at the right time, because if they are, then you got to feel good about your chances of doing some serious damage in the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, it's been awfully good to meet you. It sounds like you've had a nice career with some good years still ahead of you and some outstanding basketball, some outstanding athletes to be coached.
Yes, sir.
But nice to see you, and good luck, especially starting next week when that tournament starts.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, 4 young ladies have been very instrumental in the outstanding team they've had thus far this year. We'll be right back.
And this will be your premium right here.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say I combined home and auto with State Farm.
Saved $760.
Love this guy.
Okay, does it bother anybody else that the mime is talking? Freaky.
Bundle home and auto, and you could save $760.
That's 760 very good reasons to call Alan Gurdeau in Trussville today.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, we partner with our patients, trying to help them overcome the obstacles that keep them from achieving their goals.
This practice aggressively pursues victory over injury, over pain, over limitation, over anything that's going to keep you from being the best you can be.
It starts with our non-surgical physicians who are trained in sports medicine, orthopedic injuries. We have specialists in sports medicine, shoulders, elbows, and knees. We have hip specialists that do only hip surgery, including arthroscopy, minimally invasive resurfacing, and total hip replacement if needed. We have joint replacement surgeons. We have spine surgeons. We have surgeons that specialize in foot and ankle surgery and in hand surgery. So just about all the specialties of orthopedics are covered at Andrew Sports Medicine.
What makes the great surgeons great is their volume of experience at making decisions, whether that's intraoperative decisions, post-operative decisions, pre-operative decisions, the decision to operate on somebody or not operate on them. And so our volume here breeds good decision making. That gives us an edge in terms of making decisions for our patients, which ultimately is a lot of times the difference between success and failure. The teams, the players, the parents have confidence in us because they know we're going to communicate with them, we're going to create a plan unique to that athlete or that person, and we're going to get them back to their thing and as quickly and as safely as we can.
At Andrew Sports Medicine, our mission is to partner with our patients and to help them succeed and achieve victory. Whether you're a weekend warrior, a grandparent with a shoulder problem, or a professional athlete, you get the same care, the same high-level technology, the same aggressiveness that we would in a professional athlete, and we treat everyone the same way. None of us like to lose. We're all very competitive, and we're not going to lose against their illness or their injury.
And folks, welcome back. As you can tell, 4 outstanding, pretty young athletes, not just some strapping guys. We got some beautiful young ladies here that are pretty good basketball players. And the one thing we're making sure we're not going to do is we're not going to mispronounce their name. You know, Snapper's famous for that. But they won't mispronounce it if they tell us who they are. So we're going to start with this young lady right here. Tell me your name, your grade, and what position you play.
My name's Tamaya Kendrick. I'm starting point guard, and I'm in 12th grade.
Okay.
My name is Anaya Robinson, and I'm a senior, and I'm a shooting guard.
You're a shooting guard. Girl, that's my own heart.
My name is Andrea Steed. I'm a shooting guard and a point guard.
You're shooting and point guard? Mm-hmm. Versatile, mobile, and hostile. That's good. That shows point guard. Okay, and finally?
My name is Kristen Allen, and I'm a senior shooting guard.
Shooting guard, okay. Now, and I'm going to start with you, Kristen. Being a senior guard and a shooting guard, does that mean you never play defense?
Actually, I think I play more defense than offense. Like, most of my offense comes from my defense.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That is a compliment right there, because the coaches and I were talking about it. Too many people want to be very offensive and do little as they have to on defense. But I got a feeling y'all don't get to play if you don't play very good defense, right? Well, good. That's terrific. Andrea, tell me about yourself. What position?
Shooting guard and point guard.
Well, now the point guard, I understand. That means you're in charge for that moment. which do you like best, distributing the ball or shooting the ball?
It's kind of in the middle.
Really? Well, let me ask you this. Are you good at both of them?
I guess, yes.
Well, then that's good. You can be in the middle. Okay. And so next, Anaya?
Yeah.
Okay, Anaya. And you're a shooting guard too.
Yeah.
But if you don't play defense, you don't get to shoot, do you? Hey, let me tell you, let me ask you this question. And you girls, it'll be interesting what y'all say about it. One of the most important team aspects in how successful we are or are not is team chemistry. You know what that means? Do we get along, or every once in a while do we have these little hen peck fights, getting after each other, whatever. So with that thought in mind, Anaya, tell me about the team chemistry and how it affects y'all's team.
As a team, we have really good chemistry. I mean, every team gonna have their ups and downs,
Right, yeah.
But as a whole, we have really good chemistry.
Well, going into this season, all of you girls are seniors. So that means this is it. So having said that, Tamaya, how did you feel about this year's team? Did you feel like y'all have pretty much played the way you thought you would? Not quite as good as you thought you would? Or is your best basketball still ahead of you because you played pretty good?
I mean, we can still progress, but we've been playing very good basketball. And I feel like our defense is what sets the tone for us.
Okay, now one question that I asked the guys, I'd be curious how you girls feel about this. Do you feel more pressure playing at home or more pressure on the road when you go to play?
We don't feel pressure.
You said that like you don't feel pressure, period.
We don't.
You don't? Y'all CC and calm, cool, and collective all the time, right?
Yes,
Well, hey, boy, if you're like that, the coach ought to be tickled to death. Now, girls, I know two things about you before you even sit down. You heard me tell the guys it's no different for the girls. One, you're good basketball players. Two, you're good students. And if you didn't qualify in the classroom, you wouldn't make it, right? Mm-hmm. That puts a lot of pressure even on you little girls, young ladies, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's what I want to know is, and we're going to start with Amaya. What do you do in your free time to unwind and just relax and collect yourself after all that pressure of the classroom and the basketball court?
I usually play the game, or either I watch film or listen to music.
You watch films, movies?
No, like basketball film.
You're kidding me. I want you to know, seriously, folks, this is the first. You are the first young lady that ever said you watched films. That tells me something about you, that you hope to win, and in order to do that, you got to watch some film to see what maybe some of your weaknesses or strengths are and the others, right?
Yes, sir.
Good for you. Next.
In my free time, I'm usually on the phone or sleep.
Really? Well, that makes sense. Now, girls have been, y'all have a reputation of being good on that telephone. Now, sleeping, that's another thing. We have to sleep too, so that's good. Sleeping on the phone, you get it all out of your system, right? Then sleep about it and have nightmares. No, I'm kidding. Okay, and now, Andrea?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, you're the spelling it different. That's what got you. Okay. Tell me about what you do to unwind.
I probably just go in the back and listen to music and start dancing.
Oh, does that music make you feel like dancing? And so that takes away the pressure, right? I mean, you're doing something, and on a serious note, you enjoy that, or you wouldn't do it. It sort of helps you out up here, right? Good. Not only physically, makes them legs stronger dancing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And how about you, Kristen?
I usually listen to music, or like somebody said, study film, work on whatever we messed up in the previous game.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that you girls take that serious. Now, here's the one answer I did not hear, and I thought one of you lovelies would have said it. I like shopping.
No.
No, we don't have time to shop till we drop, right? Well, you're telling me something that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat, that you have your priorities straight. You got to take care of the classroom, got to take care of the basketball court, then you take care of each other, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that's the way we like it. All of y'all are seniors. Now, here's the next $64,000 question. And we're going to start with Tamaya. Next year, where do you hope to go to school? And what kind of classes, what do you hope to be one day?
Well, right now, I'm undecided on what school, but I would like to major in sports management.
Sports management. Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever thought about being a teacher or a coach?
I thought about being a coach. Not
Really?
A teacher.
Yeah, not a teacher?
Yeah.
You couldn't take them little boys and girls in the classroom when they didn't do what you said?
Right, I can't do that.
No, I couldn't do that. Anaya, what about you?
Right now, I'm undecided, but I would like to go to school to major in dentistry.
You know, undecided sometimes is one of the things I hear about schools and what career options we might have. Andrew, how about you?
I'll probably be going to Mississippi Valley State and major in biology to become a pharmacist.
Really? Okay. Well, good luck to you. Because remember, if you don't make it as a pharmacist, you always be a coach, right? But good luck to you. And Kristen, how about you?
I'm undecided, but I want to major in kinesiology and hopefully graduate and go to med school.
Really? Okay. Well, now, girls, here's the most important thing right now in this point of your life. Do you realize that next week, does y'all's tournament start next week as well?
Yes, sir.
That that's the first step to either moving toward a state championship or going home early. Now, with that in mind, Tamaya, do you think your team has still got its best basketball ahead of you?
Well, like I said, there's always room to improve, but I feel like we got the team right here.
Okay. Now, you haven't had many peaks and valleys. Anaya, you think y'all are playing about as well as you can?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Now, let me tell you something. And always remember this in the back of your mind, to where no matter what kind of game or what team you're playing, always play hard. You know why? Because if you're in the game at the end, there's this crazy little word called upsets. And sometimes we play people that might be better, but if we hang tough at the very end, it can go either way, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that thought in mind, Andrew, do you think that this team will go further than it did last year? Or
Yes,
has
sir.
the ability to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. That means I'm going to be expecting this team to move along a little bit because you girls got your heads screwed on straight. And that's a compliment, okay? And so, Kristen, how about you? Do you think that this team has the ability to do some serious damage?
I feel like the best is yet to come. Like, there's definitely a group that's going to be able to take it as far as we want it to go. Okay,
this is the only coaching advice I'm going to give you, okay? Because you've got a court right over there. It's pretty good at it. But the best offense is a good defense.
Yes,
Is that not right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, girls, the last question I want to ask you, and you've been delightful young ladies, and you act like there's no fear in you, which is good. You can't play scared, okay? So I don't care if it's Goliath out there. You go out there and slap that boy around too. And sometimes even when we're not supposed to win, we will, okay? But now listen, all seriousness, I hope your best basketball is still ahead of y'all, and which means tournament times when you want to play your best. The last question I've got for you, and we'll start with you, Kristen. To this point in your young life, who's been the most inspirational person or persons?
Oof. Definitely my mother. She's been like my recruiting coach, my basketball coach, my everything, supporter, all of that.
Well, you know what? It's a compliment to your mom, and if you didn't feel that way about her, I'd be out hunting her and wanting to whip her with an ugly stick, because that's the way you should feel about your mothers. Andrea, how about you?
My mother as well.
Okay, good for you. 2 for Mom. Tamaya?
Same answer, my mom.
Okay, and Tamaya?
My uncle.
Okay. Now, what is it that your uncle has done to sort of inspired you? Haven't you ever been there when you needed him?
I think he's my biggest supporter right now.
Well, that's terrific. Well, listen, girls, you have been a treat to talk to. I've really enjoyed it. Now, on a very serious note, Y'all have had a pretty good season thus far in order to make it a very successful season. You may not win it all, you may, but I hope you have your best playing ahead of you, okay? And good luck to you, and all of you being seniors, good luck in whatever endeavors you choose to go for after school, okay?
Thank you.
And folks, once again, we've had a great afternoon of young athletes and got to visit with 2 outstanding coaches, and we'll do it again next week. Till then, you know what the snapper always says, bicycle. Now, girls, that was uncalled for, but I'm going to take it as a compliment.
That was a good one. I've never heard that before.
Well, thank you so much.
I've never heard that before.
Well,
that was fun.
You can catch our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can also visit us on our social media outlets, Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to like and subscribe to our platforms. If you have an idea for a show topic or would like to be a sponsor, please email us at castvshow321@gmail.com.